We've been joined by Rayne Dowell, actually. So we have a couple of the gremlin hunters are present today. Excuse me. Gremlins. A few days ago, we went on a gremlin hunt. It's Tim Longwell, Rayne Dowell, and Bill Graham, and myself. And with these compatriots and watching in an HOA, I created a future date hangout and affectionately called it the Gremlin Search. And Rayne Dowell said, no, don't do that. You're going to only summon the gremlins. And, we just held our ground and decided to say, let them come. We'll meet them face to face. And we launched into our attack. So we challenged the gremlins, and we solved the gremlin comment mystery that kept so many faithful attendees from commenting week after week. And I will explain it all in a little bit. But first, good morning, Saturday morning marketing smarties, and thank you for joining us. Whether it's morning where you are or whatever the time of day or night, we do appreciate your attendance. And please try commenting. I'm really proud of the fact that so many people can today. And before I go on, and we will divulge the problem immediately after this, I want to introduce my compatriots who are with me today, starting with Terry Lee Britton. He's a man of many talents and skills. He brings levity and intellect to gatherings such as the Friday Night Sensation, Plus Words. And plus, he has his own show that he's producing now called, I got to read it because I'll never remember all these words, Terry Lee Britton's Blue Juice Jubilee Variety Show. So if you haven't seen that, you ought to try it out. And, he's from Elizabeth City, North Carolina. Terry, please say hi.
Hello, everybody. I'm glad you're all here. Yippee! We're talking gremlins and a lot of other really good stuff this week, so yeah, this is going to be a pretty cool show.
Okay, thank you, Terry. And next, we'd like to introduce Karen V. Chen, who is a San Francisco marketing consultant and a social media engagement specialist, and the owner of the almost notorious 28 Days of Love Challenge community. Please say hi, Karen.
Hello, Roland. How are you doing?
Go ahead and speak to the attendees and the audience out there.
Hi, attendees. Hopefully this is going to be. I'm dying actually to know about the gremlin solution here, so that's the reason why I'm here today, basically. Well,
I had to keep it a big secret, or nobody would show up.
I know. So, you wouldn't even tell me. You wouldn't even tell me. I'm like really upset by this. That's why I'm here.
Well, I was trying to be true blue to the people who spent all the time doing this, and plus there were 3 people who joined me and actually devoted the time to actually solve the problem. So I'm trying to pay my respects to everybody. So moving on, I will say the next I want to introduce you is my last but not least member of my panel, Molly Youngblood Geiger, and I just call her the Google lady and ask her to explain. She's the owner of her own community called Marketing Online Leveraging YouTube. And say hi, Molly, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Molly Youngblood Geiger, Design Right for You out of Jacksonville, Florida. And I also am managing the Molly community, Marketing Online Leveraging YouTube, and very active on Google Plus and in the Google Partners and Google Small Business community.
Okay, thank you, Molly. So, not to keep everybody waiting any further, you've been waiting too long. And now we've actually come up with a solution that will help at least a number of people who may be experiencing the same thing. Because I can't believe I'm so exclusively the only one who has had this problem. But I want to give you a cautionary note. Please don't leave after we divulge the secret, because I'm going to hand it to you, and afterwards you're going to miss a lot of great information if you leave. We've been working over the content for today, handing you a package which has to do with what are the 3 main things that you want to consider if you're building a web presence online and you're a new company or new to the internet or new to social media or new to websites. These are the things you want to focus on. And I've been preaching these things for about 6 months, actually online for 6 months, and about a year and a half before that. Okay, gremlin hunters. It can honestly be said that it was an honest mistake on my behalf, and I knew not what I was doing. I am to blame. That's the main thing, okay? I accept full responsibility. Now I'll explain what it was that we did and to fix the problem, but first I wanted to make the points that we suffered from this problem for 4 weeks straight. And the first couple of weeks, it was confusing because the first couple of weeks, we had people successfully commenting even though nothing had changed. And we had people who could comment, and basically how they got around that was they refreshed their browser, sometimes a dozen times, and suddenly the comment opportunity would appear. And so we did have some people commenting, but by the third week, Tim was the only one who could comment. Tim Longwell was the only one who could comment 3 weeks into this. And the fourth week, not even Tim could comment. Well, I guess this got the best of him, and he said, "Dang it, I'm not going to be eliminated from Roland's comments." And so we talked about it and decided we'll take a stand and figure out what it was and do some research and go for it. So this is what we did. We decided to set a date, which was last Tuesday, and I had told a few people that we were going to go on the gremlin hunt for this, and Bill Graham said, "Hey, I'll join in if I can be of any help." And so Bill joined us, and then Rayne Dowell found out, and so she just could not keep herself away and needed to know the answer to this. So Rayne Dowell joined us. So it was Rayne, Bill, and Tim and myself, and onward we went with the gremlin hunters. So basically what I did was I opened up a hangout. We got everybody together. I opened up a hangout and invited them in. So we had the assembly of the gremlin busters, if you will. And then I shared my screen and I proceeded to create a hangout on air via going to the hangouts, not the event page, but the hangouts, and then setting it for a further date in the future, and so forth. So I did everything right, and I was being previewed as we went by everyone of all the gremlin hunters. So as I did this, I checked every single step, voicing my intentions before doing it, and then describing what I intended to do, getting feedback from my associates, and then they could see nothing wrong, so we would proceed. And of course, setting up a hangout, it's like 4 or 5 minutes. So we got there, and then right about then we had this discussion, and someone said, "I bet the problems are in the settings." And of course, that made a lot of sense, but what settings are we talking about? And someone said, "Maybe it's in your profile settings." And this big light bulb went off above our heads like, okay, well, that's easy to check. Let's go there and find out if that could be the problem. So I literally pulled up my personal profile settings, and immediately, I don't think it took him 3 seconds for Tim Longwell to say, "Well, there's your problem right there." I mean, I see it right away, because in the top section, the first very section, are the comment settings that have to do with guests can comment, and guests can invite other people, and thus creating the enabling setting for Hangouts. But who would have guessed that your personal profile settings would have anything to do with the settings in Hangouts? That was the big thing. And so the thing to realize at this point is that when you adjust your settings in your profile, you are adjusting settings that influence everything in your Google Plus profile, including Hangouts on Air. So does that make sense? Does that, but But a lot of comments were made after that saying, well, who would have guessed? I mean, nobody's associating that, and up and down the line, the number of people that we commented and contacted and asked about it could not provide the solution. So virtually nobody thought of going to the personal profile. But one way or the other, we stumbled upon it, and once we saw it, the problem was solved in 5 seconds. Is that crazy or what? So I'm the guilty party, and
Wait, what were the settings you changed?
The first 2 settings: guests can comment, and guests can invite other people. Because when you go there, it's like you have the option: anyone can comment, your circles can comment, and so forth. And so what I did was I adjusted, and the reason that nobody could comment is I had myself set on I am the only one that can comment. And I know how stupid that sounds, but if you do that, of course, you're the only one that can comment. However, I got
one out of them, folks.
Okay. So how did you do that then? You're the only one who can comment in your in your personal settings, which then is a reflection of what was happening on the event.
Absolutely, and you're partially. I would have to say that I would identify you as being part of the reason that I changed that setting, because you were trying to guide me through how to adjust it so I didn't get bombarded in my email from all the notifications going on. So I basically said, oh, I see, if I go adjust my settings, then all this stuff is not going to come shooting at me in my email. So I said, no more, no more, no more. And I just had to start with eliminating all the feed to my email. And that's when I came up with the settings of like, only I can comment, and only I can, do these things. So when I changed that setting, I changed the opportunity for everyone to comment in my Hangouts. But nobody made that connection. And we only did by doing a focused research and people watching me, what I was doing, and speculating with a few brains interacting, and then actually we came to the conclusion it must be in your settings. But the thing to remember is that when you change your settings in your profile, it does indeed affect everything, including Hangouts.
I think those are actually in your advanced settings. I know I've experienced that issue as well, and it wasn't until I went into my advanced settings that I was able to go and configure that. So one thing you could do, Roland, is you could apply a label to your Gmail account, so that way if you have a certain Hangout, you can attach that label to that Hangout, so that way it's not bombarding your Gmail account.
Quite honestly, I'm so happy it's working. I think I'll leave it exactly the way it is for the rest of my Google Plus career. But it really wasn't in my advanced settings. If you go to settings, it's literally the first 2 things that pop up as options to adjust. Nothing advanced about that. It was like, you dude, what's wrong with you, And so I switched that back, and lo and behold, everybody can comment today. And I noticed that Rayne Dowell is in the audience today watching the Hangout. Thanks a lot, Rayne. You were really contributory towards us, guiding us to the solution. And Tim, you were indispensable. And Bill Graham, you were along for the ride, and it couldn't have been the same without you, because it's the spirit. It was the joint spirit of the 4 of us holding hands, if you will, and going into this, that it all worked out. So thanks a lot, you guys, and I appreciate it. So we will be posting what we discovered in the user-to-user live community. So Andrew, we will be posting this today, and I thank everyone for all your comments. A lot of people commented and tried to give us solutions to this, and so I can't tell you how many times I walked through the basic fundamental. Did you do this in Hangouts? Did you do that in Hangouts? Did you do this, that? Repeat, 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 wash, wash, repeat, repeat. But the bottom line is it had nothing to do with the Hangout settings, other than the overriding the clause of the profile having dominance over everything.
So hey, Roland, I just wanted to read this out. Andrew Hatchett, he's here in the house. So hey, Andrew. And I just want to make sure he hears this from you. So you're going to say this publicly. Okay, I'm just going to read his question statement.
All right.
Am I to understand that a person's profile settings override the event settings?
Yes. In our experience, that is true. And I think that your questioning that is evident that nobody would have thought that that was true, or nobody would consider that one should be dominant over the other. When you go to Hangout settings, it should be like, well, you go to the peak of the Hangout settings, but nobody would guess automatically that the peak of the Hangout settings had premier dominance from the person's profile who created the Hangout. It makes sense, but nobody thought of it.
Well, the issue I was also noticing was that not even the say something comment box was appearing, and so it was like, and plus the question, how the heck did Tim break through your firewall to begin with in the earlier shows? And no one else could. What does he know that only the NSA knows?
I love it. Bill Graham posted, someone has to hold the flashlight for you, for the true pro. And it's true, by golly. You were at least holding the flashlight, maybe holding a few pinkies too, but whatever it was, we all got through, and I appreciate everyone's work. That's basically the culmination of the concept of the Comment Gremlins. So I appreciate everybody spending the time, and I didn't think it was going to take 15 minutes of the program, but I really want to move on now. So shall we do it? Shall we leave this subject and move on? I think that we pretty much exhausted it for.
Oh yeah, glad that's over. Oh my God.
Yeah, it was fun though. I mean, I've had a big laugh out of it, and it was a lot of fun. So anyway, at this point, we're going to talk about something today, basically, and it's really a run through. It's not something that we're going to dig into deeply today. In the future, we will be jamming very deeply into all three subjects, and we've been digging into social media for weeks now and dealing with that. So now we're going to pick up the other three legs of the tripod and talk about all three actually today, because of the three things that you need if you are developing a web presence online are a website, social media influence, and a YouTube account. So the way we break that down is website, very commonly used maybe by half the world right now, is WordPress. And is it the best platform available? Not necessarily. But for most people, for the common man, for the small businesses on a budget, it has lots and lots of benefits. So it's a good, healthy way to start. If you can't afford $5,000 up front and $500 or $1,000 or more per month to maintain your website, then this is a good way to go. So what I suggest is that you consider WordPress, and you consider definitely having a web site. So that's one. The second thing being social media. I've found that there's nothing comparable to Google+, and we're all here now doing it in the Hangout, and these are some of the reasons, but there are some more. So we're going to have Karen go over those. And then the last thing is you really need a YouTube account, and you really need to develop some videos. But there's more to that than just saying YouTube, go get an account and watch and play and share a lot of videos. There's a strategy to building your own YouTube presence, how it is going to affect your web presence and your ranking in Google and so forth. So all these three things combined, when you put them together, give the average business the most bang for the buck and the most opportunity to do what we do. So we're going to start off today with Terry Lee to talk about WordPress and websites. Okay, and at this time I'd like to turn it over to him.
Okay, I had to unmute myself. Keep forgetting I'm muting myself. Yeah, well, we're going to talk about WordPress. Being that it's a very simple thing to set up. It's flexible. It's easy to get templates that serve many different types of needs, and you can go way beyond the templates that more commercial type templates. You definitely do not have to look like a blog, and I mean, doing a blog is useful in some ways, but it's also useful to be thinking of a web page as a place where you can post your offers, post the things that you have for sale, more information about those things, create special landing pages for advertising to lead to and for email campaigns to lead to that are not public pages that are part of your menu structure, but are more hidden pages that are, because they're not in your menu structure, that you direct people to only from your email, for instance. And that's an important use of a website, is to be able to have special information zones that are targeted to a niche. And what a niche means is that it's a narrow group of interested parties that have a specialized interest in a very specialized type of information. And so WordPress makes that so easy because you just create a page, because you have two sections of WordPress. Is one thing a lot of people don't realize. You have the create post section, which is what the blogging platform, the WordPress is known for, was all about. It was all about doing posts, and so you had this simple platform that would always show your most recent post first, and underneath it would stack the older posts. And when you got beyond a certain number, say 5 or 10 posts, it would then have a older posts button at the bottom that you could read older items. And you could search the site easily and find older posts too, or you could have listings in a sidebar widget that showed older posts as a list. But a lot of people do not notice that it also has a pages section. It makes it easy to create a page on the fly, and that page, again, does not have to be integrated as part of your menu structure. So it does not have to be something you access through the menus. It can be a very specialized page just for a very targeted, specific purpose. A single mention, a single post that you make in Google Plus can tell people, go check out this page I just made surrounding this conversation we're having right now, that kind of summarizes the things, puts all the links together in one place so that we can also be, have a simple resource to go to, and you just provide the link. And down the road, that may become an article page. It may become something that you do integrate into your menu structure as a feature article. It may become something that you want to put a lot of SEO effort into because you realize that you just put a pillar post up there, a pillar article that's going to draw a lot of attention to your site. And so then you definitely want it part of your menu structure, and you want to improve the search engine optimization of that article down the road. It doesn't mean you never have to start out with it being a visible post. You can start out by making a page that you've dedicated some information to. You grow the information, you let it nurture it, you add more, improve your wording, your paragraph structure, and then release it to the world as a pillar page on your site that becomes something that really draws people to your site. So again,
could I introduce you, Terry? I mean, interrupt you. The concept that you just talked about is really a major part of refining SEO from the creator's end, and not from the standpoint of hiring an SEO person to come in and try to fix your work. If you start out with poor content, SEO is not really going to help that much, nor is it going to assure that when people get to your site, they're going to have a good experience reading your poorly written article. So you really have to focus on SEO from the standpoint of the creator's aspect, and generation of the articles and doing a proper job there is the start of SEO.
Yeah, and it's always content is king, and the nice way to create content is from doing your social media thing, helping people, being help-oriented, and then generate a centralized repository so people aren't having to figure out where on earth that comment stream was, and that you where you made those, all those comments, or where all that discussion was happening. You create a central repository you can direct other people to in future posts. Yeah, we talked all about this, and rather than directing someone to a post that has 395 comments in it, here's a page you made that you gleaned just the best comments information out of there, and created the best resource you could. And then from that it's something that people are interested in, you grow it, nurture it, and make it into a well-structured post with good keywords, good titles, headings, paragraph structure, all that kind of stuff. But you do it as a page rather than a post.
Terry, actually, Andrew Hatchett has a question. I wanted to just share with you and with the audiences. What are the advantages of using WordPress over using a Google Plus site?
Well, Google Plus owns the blogging platform if you do that, and a lot of people are nervous about using a Google Plus site, mostly because Google has dropped projects in the past. Okay, I think that the worst thing they ever could have done was drop the Reader, Google Reader, which was an RSS feed reader, because that just, a lot of their true blood super geeks were highly damaged psychically over that. And when they did other projects in the past that didn't pan out, that people didn't use. So I don't know. It's, again, they own the post, they own the platform. How much control you have over your SEO and all that kind of stuff, I don't know. Whereas when you do a WordPress site, I'm not talking about a WordPress site over there at WordPress.com, I think it is, where you free site and you set it up and it's actually hosted by WordPress. No, I'm talking about hiring a hosting company, erecting a WordPress site where it's your property and you own everything about it. You can move it to a different hosting service. You can change it. Nobody can say a thing about what you've got content-wise or anything, and nobody can just disappear it on you by because all the content is yours. You can download your database, all that kind of stuff. You have control over your database and everything else. So that's the main reason. Now, I may be over-amplifying it, but I'm mostly bringing up WordPress because it's such an easy darn thing to set up. The Google sites are easy to set up too. The main emphasis really of this particular discussion, though, is that it's important to have some kind of a website, a website where you can have posts and have so-called pillar posts, pillar articles, where you can start drawing attention to your site. And I was asked to define a pillar post. That would be a post or an article that becomes the go-to article in the industry or in the field, that it becomes page one for that what they call long tail search. And when people are looking for that particular information, this article is so concise and so full of every answer you need that it becomes page one because it deserves it. Okay? Not because it was finagled into place into page one. It's on page one because it deserves it. It's a pillar post. It's the pillar holding up your entire web presence. Okay? It gets people to your site. They see the rest of your work. That's why they call them pillar posts.
And I love that, Terry, because it brings to mind again, it's not just a matter of having some SEO guy finagle the way to your website so you can see it, but actually to have things that are relevant and earning the spot and being that important, that not only do the search engines consider you important, but that people reading would put you there too, and that is going to support your page one search presence. And the only way to do that is to start off with good content. So I mean, I think I can't stress enough that the idea of the composition and the writing and refining the post and knowing your stuff in the first place, these are all really great ideas. Could I bring up one statement from Richard Clarkson, who says, I see a lot of comments about WordPress being hacked in various ways. It's kind of scary if you ask me. And I don't disagree with you, except that I would give my own experience as proof. I run about 30 or 35 websites for myself and other people, and none of them have been hacked. So we keep up with the WordPress documentation. We keep up with updating our plugins and those things. And I have yet to be hacked, and that's in quite a few years of this.
Yeah, I can also add that the huge number of sites that have been hacked are sites where people did not change their username and password, so they kept it as admin, admins. You know, admin for username, admin is password. I mean, give me a break. A kindergartner could hack that site, you know? And you have so many people that are just that deep thinking that that's what they do, you know? It's like, oh, no one will ever bother with my site. Yeah, right. Hackers are looking for web properties like that so they can exploit the server. They don't want your site. They want to be able to exploit your server. And so, you know, give me a break. Oh, yeah, or Molly was mentioning the famous 1234 password, or the password as the password.
Gee, I can remember that one.
Yeah, it's like, what do you think? What do you think? Hackers are total jerks that they're not going to figure out your password? Oh no, they'll never figure that out because they figure nobody's that stupid that they would use password as the password. So they would never even think I did it. I outsmarted them. Yeah, right. Okay, chucklehead. So anyway, those are the ones that are being hacked, and also people that don't use any security plugins at all, which are free. So why wouldn't you use a security plugin? There's so many good ones that have great reviews, so easy to find it. Type in security plugin, bingo, you get a whole list of them. So it's not hard to secure your site. It's not hard to be smart about your passwords, and it is hard to hack a site that's well secured and has a good password. So. Oh, by the way, Craig H. was mentioning a pillar is typically a longer article, and additionally it links out to both additional content on your site and to other authority sites to provide additional relevant information on your topic. That's an excellent point. Typically, a pillar post is not just one that's just you're rambling on about your own expertise. You're bringing in evidence and corroboration of other posts and articles elsewhere that support what your statements are. So that's true. A pillar post usually is a pillar because, and this is why it's recognized as a pillar by Google, because it leads to other authority sites that support the authority of your contentions and statements.
So Terry and Roland, William Rock actually has a statement, and he's also suggesting for security is Securi, S-E-C-U-R-I. What do you guys think about that in terms of a site to be able to scan for your malware or virus within your site?
Yeah, I go there all the time and check out all my sites to make sure they don't have any junk on them. And it's free, it's easy. You just put in, the only thing tedious about it is that you can only do one site at a time. So you put in the address of your site, hit go, and it takes about a minute, scans your site for what it knows as viruses that could be in your PHP and stuff, and in your code. And tells you if there is any. And so that's great. Securi is offering a great service. There's no doubt about it. But usually, if you've got one of better security, better WP security, or one of the others that are in there, they're already doing all kinds of stuff. They limit the number of login attempts, so people can't just keep hammering at your site trying to log in. They lock them out, lock out their IP address if they try it too many times, and little things like that just are easy to do, and are the preventative measure so that you never get a situation where security finds that you've been hacked into. You got to do the preventative first. All security is doing is telling you kind of an added measure to see, well, have my measures been strong enough so that you get that little satisfaction that you did do enough. You don't want to have to fix it after they found something on there, believe me. It's so hard to track down how they hacked you. It's ridiculous.
So not to cut your expose short, Terry, but if we want to give people a prime reason and basically a 1, 2, 3 of why they should consider WordPress and why of all things they need a website, how do we wrap that concept up?
What? What's the question exactly? How do you wrap up why they need a website? Well, the reason why they would need a website is, A, it's your own property that you have complete control of. So it doesn't matter what social networks happen down the road, which ones thrive and which ones disappear. Because remember, Friend Network or whatever the heck it was called? Man, it was the cat's meow a few years ago. MySpace was everything. You had to be there. You were dead. Blah, 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 blah. So even though Facebook is the size, the second largest country, and all this stuff, doesn't mean it's going to be there forever. Neither is Google Plus necessarily going to be there forever. Twitter, Tumblr, any of those, you never know. But here's your own website. You own the property. You can control over the content and the presence, whether it's there or not. So that's a major thing, because if you're in this for the long haul, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, thinking that your posts and everything are going to be findable next year. And plus, how posts on social media scroll down to the Neverland, and nobody, unless they're very diligent, is going to be able to find what I posted last year. Unless they really think I'm the greatest guy and they're going to read every one of my posts. How are they going to find those posts? Whereas they go to my website, I got to categorize and set up and different, themes and informational things. And I've got several websites, actually, to satisfy different types of things, so I can niche some of the content. And those are all my properties, and people will always be able to find them. They do a search. Those pages always come up in search. They can always find them. In fact, the longer they're there, the further up the search they come. So I have a lot of articles I wrote 3 years ago that were at best page 10, are now page 1 or 2. So the longer your articles are there, the more findable you become over time.
So it's like it's a given then, and it should make the most sense. If people want a web presence in order to do business, they really should consider a website. And it's not the type of thing where it's like, I'll do it next year after I've established my social media. It's really something to consider right from the get-go, so you can organize your overall web presence.
Yeah.
And
and one last thing on the security thing, since a lot of people are worried about security, there's another layer you can add to any site that's also free, and it's called Cloud. What is it called? Let me type it in here. Cloudflare. Cloudflare is, you add it as the DNS server, and it's a little tricky. You got to read their instructions or have your webmaster do this for you. But Cloudflare will make it so that any traffic coming to your site, it gets screened, and gets screened for whether they're a menace. Gets screened as to whether they've been, a menace to other places, whether they're a known threat, whether they're from a country that's got a lot of known threats, and so they know to look better, a little closer. I mean, the number of hacks that come out of China is unreal, and so it knows to look really closely at those, and out of several other countries too. So anyway. That's another useful thing called Cloudflare.com, and so take a look at that. Set any of your sites up to be protected by them, and that's free. That's free, or you can pay for additional coverage like deeper analytics and stuff.
So for the people who are really concerned with security, maybe you could post that in the comment stream, and they can go there and eat it up and go that route. We're going to go ahead and wrap up the website part of this present hangout. But I wanted to mention that that Andrew Hatchett says the number one reason is that you control your own content. In other words, why have a website? You control your own content, and that means your assets online are under your control, and nobody can mess with you if you really build that properly. You've got control of that. So that's the main thing. And there are a lot of things that go with it, but it starts with that. And so now we're going to move on to the next concept. Thank you very much, Terry. That was a whole lot of information. It's going to be worth the replay, and I'm going to have to watch it myself, I guess. But we're moving on to Molly and talking about the concept of YouTube, because we consider YouTube one of the 3 legs on the table that you build for your web presence online. Go ahead, Molly.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I just want to take an opportunity to share with people the power of YouTube. YouTube is actually the world's second largest search engine. A lot of people aren't aware of that. YouTube was actually purchased by Google about 11 years ago. So they've had ownership of YouTube for quite some time. And as they've had ownership of YouTube, it has literally grown and grown and grown. I know for myself, I was camera shy about a year ago, meaning I would never have even imagined getting in front of a camera or getting on a hangout, or much less having a YouTube channel featuring videos that I've done. But I can say for myself, my experience has been very positive. My journey with YouTube has been very positive, and really why I'm here today, I can share with you a little war story about an experience I had when I first started doing Google Hangouts on Air. I actually did a Google search. How do you host a Google Hangout on Air? And it landed me onto a Hangout on the Forbes.com website. And before I knew it, I had developed a friendship with the host of the show and wound up being a co-host on the very first Google Hangouts on Air embedded on Forbes.com. So with that was one of my positive experiences that I've had with YouTube. But with YouTube, it's fairly simple to set up a channel. As long as you have a Google or Gmail account, you can get a YouTube account set up. One of the benefits of using YouTube is when you are able to upload either pre-recorded videos, or if you do a Google Hangout on Air, there is an optimization that you can do for YouTube. And a lot of people don't realize this, but you can actually add keywords, long-tail keywords. You can add categories, and you can actually, there's a brand new feature called, it was just released on March the 16th. It is cards, YouTube cards, which is a really nice feature that I've been playing around with the last couple weeks in regards to optimizing YouTube videos. So for me, my clients, I've actually gone in, and for those clients that have YouTube videos, I've been able to go in and optimize those videos. And it holds a lot of weight, because when somebody does a Google search for a particular product or service, if a YouTube video is optimized, meaning it has those keywords, it has those descriptions, it has those cards that have been activated, it will actually lend SEO juice to that video. So those are some of the quick points that I would make about having a YouTube channel and optimizing it. And something I would add to that also is the Google Hangouts on Air. That right then in and of itself, those Hangouts have a lot of SEO factor, in the sense that, because if you're able to actually take some of the keywords that are relevant to your Hangout and include those within the title, that will help optimize that Hangout. Case in point, when I Googled how do you host a Google Hangout on Air, I found the video on Forbes. So those are just some quick points that I would share about using YouTube and how it can benefit a business.
Okay, and when you talk about the programming surrounding YouTube and the essence of refining the input data, people don't realize that there is a transcript that is generated by YouTube. Did you talk about that? Because I was only half plugged into you and half plugged into our comment stream. But if you covered this, just cut me off. The transcript is automatically generated by YouTube, and the problem with the transcript is it's just like the dialogue translator on your telephone. When you try to text a text message and speak into your phone, it gets every other word wrong, and your message is completely askew of what you meant it to be. So the transcript that's generated by YouTube is very similar, and unless you go through and at least attend to your keywords and fix that, you could be categorized and indexed for the entirely wrong subject. So between your subject matter, your title, and your tags and so forth, when you're adjusting the attributes to your YouTube uploads, it's critical that you get these things right and you take it from the top down. You've got like 7 points of things that you should attend to get it fairly close to right. And so there's a lot to it, and that's why you would hire somebody like Molly to come in there and check those things before we make mistakes. Plus, you've got like a matter of hours maybe once you've uploaded it to make the changes before it's permanent. So when you upload a video and they do the transcript, You can change it later on, but the problem is they've already indexed you for the initial original transcript. If you leave it there long enough, they use that and they say, okay, we know what you're about, and here's what we're going to do with your video. So if you get to that point, it's basically your dust. And you can change the things on it later, but it may not help your SEO.
Right, I would add to that, Roland, that a lot of people think, oh, YouTube optimization, oh, it's going to take so much time, and I just don't have the time to do this. And a lot of people, they tend to get it confused with search engine optimization, which they are both similar. The main difference, though, is with search engine optimization, it has to do with a website or off-page business listing versus YouTube optimization, which has to do just with the YouTube video. And really, it doesn't take that much effort. Yeah, I mean, it does take an investment of time. You know, if you really want to get to the nitty-gritty, I would say offhand an hour. You know, an hour of time to go in and optimize a video. But the benefits that you're going to reap from investing that time into adding keywords and adding categories and just overall caring for that video, it's going to yield way better results versus just ignoring it, or even worse, as you put, if you put in the wrong keywords or something that's negatively going to index or affect the video. It really is worth the time to just get in there, optimize it. And I know for myself, I just went in there and did it one day. It's like, I'm in here, you know, I may as well go ahead and add some keywords and descriptions. I'm here, you know. And I just, from that one video that I optimized a year or so ago, I've seen a ton of results. I've had people reach out to me, contact me, say, hey, I really like the subject. Maybe we could do another hang-on on it. So I think in addition to just optimizing the video for business, it's also an opportunity to outreach to people, meaning if you're talking about a certain subject or you're providing a certain service or product, it's also an opportunity because there are comments on those videos. So if somebody finds that video and they want to outreach to you, they can actually comment and you'll get notified, hey, somebody commented on your video. So,
well, it's the whole idea of being relevant and then being found are two different things, right? You can be really, really relevant, and then once you expose yourself to the right elements, other people can find you and realize that, yes, you're relevant, and of course they're going to comment. But you know, starting off with good content is one thing, and then if you deliver it properly with the proper attributes in YouTube, then you can actually complete the circle and get found and be integrated and connected with the people who are actually going to do you service, and you can do them service.
Right, one last final suggestion, and I know we're running close to the end of our show, so I just want to quickly throw this out there. I really would love an opportunity to actually show people. I know we don't have time today, but actually do maybe a training YouTube show where we can actually show the back end of my channel and actually show people, hey, this is where you go, this is how you access a video, this is where you go add your keywords, this is where you add your descriptions, and maybe even getting into setting up a card, so we can actually do a one-on-one tutorial to show people here's where you go to access these different modules.
That sounds great, Molly, and a lot of people probably haven't even heard of the cards yet, the YouTube cards.
They're brand new. They just came out on March 16th. So
right. So that is like one of the
I'm out looking for googly news all the time. So as soon as I hear something, I'm out telling people, hey, there's a new product out there. So I would love an opportunity to do that. That would be great.
And we will do that as we're actually going to plan a
quick question though. Yeah. Craig asked a question, and I don't think there is. He asked, "Do you know how long the description in a YouTube video can be?" And I've had practically books in there. I wonder if there is a limit to how long a description can be.
That's
according to what I understand.
Offhand, I would say follow best SEO practices, meaning. If I'm not mistaken, I believe for search engine optimization, you can have up to 155 or 156 characters. So I would adhere to those best practices to begin with. But that's something I will research to see if there is a set number of characters for YouTube description. That's a really good question.
It's not the same as a meta description, which you want to keep at 160. But the YouTube description doesn't actually end up in the search results the same way.
Yeah, actually, Terry, you know, I've been trying to figure out how to do YouTube this week by writing my own description, and I think it said basically it was like 1,000 characters because I went over and I was thinking I was only like maybe 3 paragraphs, and because you and I had our conversation thinking that you could write forever, and there is actually a character limit.
Ah, there is a character limit. Okay.
So there is a character limit. So you need to, and that includes. It doesn't include, I think, the if you actually add like email addresses or social
Web
platform
addresses.
addresses. But
And links, which is shortened.
It's basically just the actual number of characters. I think it was like 1,000 characters because it said you reached your limit.
Okay, I will interject right now because I believe that we have to let Molly go soon.
Yeah, I have to go, guys. Thanks for the opportunity to talk today. I'll be here next week, and looking forward to next week's hangout. I appreciate everyone having me on the show today.
Thanks a lot, Molly.
All right, thanks, guys. Bye.
And now, to incompletely conclude our discussion today, because the objective is not to sell any one of the concepts that we're talking about. The objective is to actually get you convinced that these 3 concepts of a website, social media, and YouTube constitute the 3 things that you should be paying attention to and get involved with, and do not let them go. If you're going to do one, do all 3. And the third, of course, the third leg of the table that stands is social media, and we've got our G+ lady to talk about that. So Karen, you've got the rest of the show basically.
Well, it's going to be kind of hard because it's only 10 minutes. So this is going to be a very short, concise, real basic, and I apologize for that. So maybe we can talk further at another show. But I think Molly touched great points, and Terry touched really good points about a website and YouTube. And as you know, as Molly mentioned, Google owns YouTube, and so having that as Roland's tripod of the website, the YouTube, and Google is key in terms of getting your message across socially. I think we all know that it's important to have, of course, your own profile and get that set up, and you go through that process. And then from setting up your profile, you can set up your own business page. From setting a business page, there's also the areas of Google Maps, so making sure that, for example, if you own a restaurant or a business, to make sure that it's as optimized as possible, making sure that you have all of that information that's being asked of you to be filled. So your name, your address, your phone number, your times of business, and that for me is actually key from a personal experience that I've had recently. I use Google Maps for everything, and when I look for a location or a business to go to, for example, if it's not updated, I sometimes question it, and I actually have to make the physical phone call, and if I have time, I do that. So that was an area that I think that's really important. And then just with Google itself and Google+, the idea of, because you have your page, you're building your followers, you're beginning to form your community, and from your community, you can also then have an extension of building an actual community about a particular product or topic or your business, and have that as a form of discussion. So the other areas to talk about too is that every time you write a post, it's also key that each post for Google, other than any other social platform, is that it comes with its own custom URL, so that it's unique and that it shows up on Google search if someone's looking for that particular topic, which is nothing like that. And when you think about writing for posts, if you think of Twitter and the 140 characters, and Facebook, where it's a private platform, so you got to be a member to actually see anything on Facebook. Google is basically public, and so that when you post, it is basically shows up in search, because Google Plus is Google. That the first 40 to 50 characters will basically be the key, basically the words that will show up and give you that SEO juice. And I'm not myself an SEO expert, but I know seeing that has happened for me, where you can actually move yourself up, and if you get a lot of folks who +1 or comment, that post, it helps you with your search and it gets you up closer up to page 1. Other areas to address, I think it also gives you the opportunity that you can also use hashtags, and with hashtags, again, it's public, so it's not just within Google Plus. When you use that hashtag in Google Plus, it's also searchable within Google. So those are kind of the areas that I can think of that we can talk through, because we've got 5 minutes and I want to kind of open up for discussion, just some ideas of why a business needs to be on why a business needs to use Google Plus.
Mm. One cool approach I heard about hashtags was to treat them as groups. That you can create a group like a community around a hashtag. So people searching on a certain hashtag are like a community of interested parties that will be using that hashtag to share posts related to that from all over the Google sphere.
Yeah, I think it's like that's that whole idea of having a unique or a vanity hashtag, right? Where you see that hashtag and you want to belong to that group, or you're searching for that information, and that's what key is. I mean, that's again about branding, right? If you're using a hashtag and it goes viral, or once that person sees that hashtag and it has that, contact of knowing what that means, they'll use it, and that gives you advertising in itself or promotion.
But then there's also the people that say YouTube SEO is a hashtag, and so I can do a search on YouTube SEO as a hashtag and find all the posts all over the creation that have been posted about YouTube SEO that use that hashtag to identify to the community of interested parties. So,
if I could take this moment as we start to wrap it up, but I won't be the final statement necessarily, but the whole concept of what we did today was to expose what I call the Internet Marketing Tripod. And there's a lot of pull and a lot of dynamic juice that's generated by just having a website which is verified and connected with your Google account, and you have a business page in your Google account that's identifying and verified and integrated with your website, and then your YouTube account, which is also an extension of that Google presence, and you have your website verified in your YouTube account and then also confirmed connected to your Google account, and all of a sudden you post something in Google Plus and it shows up on page 1 of Google. And not just your website pages and stuff, but actually the relevant post that you make, sharing a YouTube video in Google Plus, and you post that, and you get a nice little presentation and a nice graphic in your video and your link and so forth, and you can be on page 1 of Google, not Google Plus, Google search for your keywords. And I've done it in 30 minutes, and I'm sure that it could probably be 5 minutes, because if Google indexes you and sees your video and sees your Google presences and sees your website, they say, oh, this guy must be relevant. And then if you've got good content that's worth seeing, then that's gold. You're on page 1 of Google, and that's what everybody wants.
Well, you become more, as each step as you're building, you become more of authority figure of that particular topic. So that if you make sure that you cover your bases and hit, as you mentioned, the website, the YouTube, Google page, your profile, and you're posting frequently, and you're posting on a particular topic, you will more likely show up on page 1 because you're building that following. People are engaged by that, so every time someone +1s or comments, it helps and gives you that SEO Google search, right, to move you up the rankings. So
absolutely,
it's really important for when you think about it. Also, any other platform at this moment, Google's not charging, so you can post all day long if you really wanted to. Not that I recommend that, but you can post on your topic all day if you really wanted to, and have that be a form of talking about your topic that you want to talk about, and it will show, because if you're using, as Terry mentions, the grouping of hashtags, again, if Terry's looking for SEO tips, for example, and I'm an SEO professional, and I'm writing my post and I'm putting it in my profile, I'm putting it on my page, it's going to show up.
Absolutely. And all of these things that we've been discussing today are basically tools. But the tools need to be used properly, right? You can have a hoe, but if you don't know how to put it in the ground and properly dig furrows, you're not going to necessarily come up with plants. And so to have these tools available are one thing, but to understand that all of them are geared towards building up a machine that guides people to you so that you can contact them, so that you can talk to them, so that you can build a relationship with them in Google Plus or in face-to-face in Hangouts or contact by phone, whatever the case is. Your presence is more available and more visible and easily digested and right there front and center, and becomes page one fodder if you do all the things right.
Yeah, well, like I did a video last night, 15 hours ago, and I shared it on as a post. I shared it to several people as private posts, but I also shared it as a post on my page. It's about making a USB, a microphone in a USB interface, instead of just all being in the left channel, being in both speakers, and how to do it using that voice meter program. Well, it's on page one already for that search, and
I mean, back to Terry, because back to Terry.
Oh, sorry. I'm just saying I couldn't get an article to show up that fast on my website on page one in a million years.
Right.
Okay.
Video.
What I was going to I was also going to say was just what to Ray, what Terry was mentioning was that he's recording it. He takes it from this Hangout on Air technology, records it. Because of YouTube and Google are basically integrated, he basically can just, once he hits stop record, it will show up immediately on YouTube if you put it in public. And it's just right there. And the technology is, the effort you need to do is, of course, your own effort, but it's free, and it's a great way to, promote, get your message out, as the subject matter expert in your field. So you can't do that in any other platform.
Yeah, Hangout on Air, it would have been immediate. I actually recorded this separately and uploaded it, and then added all the tags and all that in the description, and did all the tagging and SEO at YouTube SEO. So, and the title, set single mic and USB interface to mono for HOA. So it fit perfect for several types of searches. And to find it, I just used make USB microphone mono, and it was on page one. But if I wrote the article on my website, it would have taken several months for that to percolate to the top. And the fact that it had a YouTube video included makes it that. And if I had embedded the video on my website, it also would have added juice to my website, because now my website has this video from YouTube on it that is on page one, and et cetera, et cetera. So all three, like you're saying, like Roland's saying, the three all feed into each other in this great, great triangle of energy that they feed each other, and make it so that your presence and interaction can grow so much faster than if you tried to rely on any one of those pieces all by themselves.
Thank you, Terry. And we are we're running 2 minutes over time, but I'm just going to end it with that. That was a great closure. I've been talking about the Internet Marketing Tripod for about 6 months on Hangouts, and that is basically the message that I want to get across. So perhaps with that as a conclusion, and we've covered social media quite a bit this last month, and so I didn't need you to dig into all of that again, Karen, but I thank you for trying to summarize and encapsulate it in a short bit. But what I really wanted to do is, now we're going to be progressing onward to more website analysis and dealing with WordPress, and then also, much to Molly's joy, we will be devoting some of our episodes to YouTube and video intensely. As a matter of fact, I tentatively have it confirmed that Jimbo Marshall will be with us next week, who is a very advanced video specialist, and he's going to be really enjoyable, I guarantee it. So hopefully you'll tune in next week. And in the meantime, thank you very much for all my panel members, my constituents, and most of all, my comment gremlins, trackers, and hunters who helped us solve the problem. Thank you very much, and we're going to sign off from Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you very much.